Day 31, podcast number 16. Missed a few. And I do a load of catching up. Happy Death Day.
This is what I want for the jingle on my podcast.
It's going to be called John Bolton's podcast. Roll that in falsetto.
There's no you in Bolton, but I guess that doesn't matter if you're singing it. And I'm a writer. See if you can work that in some way. Basically, just make me sound awesome. Cheers.
So, Happy Death Day was trailed before I went to see it. Well, not before I went to see it. When I went to go and see it, before the film began, Happy Death Day was trailed. Went to see it twice at the cinema and kind of got a bit sick and tired of the trailer for this by the end of it, you know, having seen it twice. But actually, really enjoyed it. I'm going to draw on Chris Stuckman. He was just the first review of it that I came up with on YouTube. I'm going to offer his thoughts and then I will offer mine in response. Here he goes.
This is by no means a great horror movie, and I would certainly not say it's a great film.
And that kind of is the beginning of where he and I are going to go off in different directions, because his review seems to be one of those kind of... I think he comes at it from a sort of pretentious... I mean, he mentions acts, for one thing. That always rubs me up the wrong way. It's a film, you know, unless you're being paid substantially to be a film critic or you're a maker of films or something, don't call them acts. It just makes you sound like a dick. Anyway, so he refers to acts. I bet I do that in the next couple of reviews you watch. He kind of comes at it from the point of view that, no, I'm going to be a serious film critic and I'm going to approach this film review as a serious film critic and review it under all the same criteria that I would review a serious film. And of course, it's not a serious film, is it? It's a horror film, and horror films, by their very nature, are kind of, in my mind, sort of exempt from the scrutiny that you'd lay down on a, I don't know, like a historical epic or something, because it's a different kind of film. Horror films, broadly speaking, are intended to entertain and to kind of elicit some sort of visceral reaction in the audience, fear generally, or repulsion, or whatever it might be. And so I don't think it's fair to criticise it on the basis that it's not a very good film, because it is a good film, actually. So up yours.
It's a movie that a lot of audiences are going to enjoy, especially young teens.
Isn't that the point of a film? I mean, you literally, in the same breath... I mean, I have obviously edited what he says in his podcast, so that in his YouTube video, so that I can kind of use it in this, but I haven't altered the order of things, and actually what he just said, and then the thing before that, about it not being a good film necessarily, I literally said in conjunction. He says it's not a very good film, or it's not a good film, you know, by his standards, and in the same breath, don't think he even actually draws a separate breath, says that it's a film that a lot of people are going to go and watch and enjoy, especially teens. Isn't that the point? Surely the point of a film is it entertains people. I mean, yeah, you can aim to a film to inspire or to provoke some sort of emotion in somebody, or, you know, whatever it might be, but entertainment is ultimately what it's about. Nobody wants to go to the cinema and walk out going, I feel like my thoughts have been provoked, but I didn't enjoy what I watched. Idiot.
And it's fun enough to enjoy on a surface level, and it actually features some pretty good performances.
On a surface level, I mean, you can't enjoy it a lot, like properly enjoy it, because it's a horror film, and it's not like it's not like Black Swan. I bet this guy, if he's reviewed Black Swan, thinks Black Swan is the bollocks, which it isn't. I mean, it's a load of bollocks in that sense. But that's the only sense in which bollocks come into it.
I like the way Christopher Landon, I like the way he blocks scenes.
God, yeah, me too. I remember thinking, in fact, I may have sent it to the wife, we watched it together. I think my son watched it as well. I remember saying, this scene's well blocked.
But the downfall of it is that it just feels so much like other films.
Because, of course, the only films that are any good are films that do everything completely new and don't in any way replicate or even lampoon existing films. The only good films worth watching are films that everything is completely new, which must be terribly frustrating for him, because he must presumably has only watched the one film and therefore now avoids any other film because they're filmed on cameras, or they use microphones, or they have people in them doing things. Idiots.
There's a lot of overuse of jump scares, and they're very weak jump scares, so if you like jump scares, you'll probably not really find much to get out of these.
Covering all his bases there. If you don't like jump scares, there are some, so you won't like it. If you do like jump scares, there are some, but they're not very good, so you won't like it.
If you can get past the first act, which features some really insufferable characters...
Knew it. Knew he was going to pick on that. Yes, the characters in the beginning are insufferable, and that's sort of the point, isn't it? Because actually the film is as much about a girl trying to avoid her own death and solve the mystery of her murder as it is about a girl who, because of this, is given the opportunity and is almost forced, I suppose, and maybe that's why it happens, to realise the kind of person she is and change her ways. It's a classic tale. Worked for Scrooge, didn't it? Worked for Scrooge. I bet he wouldn't criticise Scrooge, would he? I knew he'd pick on that. Bloody knew it. And also, don't refer to acts. I've said this before. Unless you're a proper film reviewer, unless you're Barry Norman, he's the only person I'd forgive it of, and he's dead. Unless you're Barry Norman, the late Barry Norman, don't refer to acts. It's the start bit, the middle, or the end. That's how we refer to parts of films. Jeez.
Because that's the route
Rude.
the film takes, which is also very cliched. The lead heroine is, as I said, she would fit in just fine in Mean Girls, and so she's pretty rude to everyone. And you're like, my God, it's kind of hard to watch her treat all of these people like trash. And it follows that unfortunately cliched storyline where she has to figure out how to be a better person, and she's reliving the same day over and over again. And so,
actually, you know what? I take umbrage with that. That isn't at all what happens. Yes, at the start of the film, she's an awful character, just nasty and spiteful to everybody and everything, and selfish and conceited and all those sorts of things. And I remember remarking to my wife, I actually can't wait for the first time she gets killed, because frankly, she's got it coming to her. But there's no point at which she says, oh, I need to figure out how to be a better person. That happens organically. She realises the kind of person she is, and she realises that she, that she could be better. And so she is. And so she sort of turns it around. It's a nice thing. Yes, it's cliched, I suppose, because, it's happened before. It just does my head in. Jeez.
But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't at least slightly entertained by this movie.
Wow. Calm down. Slightly entertained. Ooh. I mean, it is okay in, 2017 or 2017 to watch a horror film and not hate it. That's okay. I know most horror films since about 1985 have been crap. However, there have been a handful of halfway decent ones, and I've spent the last month trying to find some of them, largely unsuccessfully. It's okay to watch a horror film and like it, and actually be entertained, and enjoy it for what it is. Because believe me, if you're not able to watch a horror film and enjoy it for, and I put speech marks around this to emphasise it, enjoy it for what it is, you have really got nothing to enjoy from any film made between about 1979 and 1988.
I'm going to give Happy Death Day a C+.
Fairly arbitrary rating system. I presume I've not actually looked. It would take me 5 seconds to check his YouTube channel and find out. I presume it works in the same way that grades used to work in schools in the UK. I presume a terrible film gets a G, doesn't it? Or a U, or an N. And a really, really good film gets an A, or an A star. If that film has done nothing but try to be a good film its entire life rather than going out and having fun with its friends. So I'm going to award a score out of 187, and the score I give this film out of 187 is 93.
Come back soon for the next episode of John Bolton's podcast. What horror movie will he be reviewing? Who knows? Who cares?